FlossTube. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ria and I am the Blue Coast Stitcher. And this is FlossTube number 5. And today's date is Tuesday, February the 13th, 2024. And welcome to my little quiet corner of the FlossTube world. Cheers. This is my tea for today. My mug of the day. Hopefully it flips it right. Free Spirit. I got this from a girlfriend a number of years ago. One of my favorite mugs. It was from Chapters, which is like a Barnes & Noble in Canada. Chapters Indigo. Anyways, hello again. It has been over a month. Life's been busy. I'm just going to give you a quick life update. Clouds are rolling in here. It was beautiful sunny. We finally had sunshine here. We had a real cold snap in January and ice caves started to form along the lake shore here. I got some pictures and videos that I'll probably insert at the beginning or the end. I'm not sure yet. And then it got too warm. It was scary warm. Last Friday, Thursday, it was like 13, 14, and it's not even Valentine's Day, and that's very worrisome. Good old climate change. And yeah, here in Southern Ontario, our climate is designed to have snow in the winter. And unfortunately, with climate change, we haven't had the same amounts of snow as we used to. I remember being 10 years old. I was born and raised in Woodstock. And I remember around 10, I remember all the adults were making a big deal because we were having a green Christmas. Green Christmas was pretty much unheard of up until that point. And then over time to now, having a white Christmas is pretty unheard of. So it's rather disturbing, but it can get exhausting thinking about those things. But yeah, I'm trying to do what I can to do my part in mitigating climate change. But sometimes it feels like an uphill battle, but I digress. Anyways, quick life update. Besides the weather and the ice caves have now disappeared from the lake. Let me see. Our oldest, Laura, she's currently living in England. Started her postdoc 3-year contract with a research facility, and she submitted her thesis. And she is so far, there's a special term they use it over in Scotland. We call it defend the thesis. It's like Viva or something they call it. It's an acronym for something. And so she submitted her thesis for her PhD. She probably will have to defend it in March. So she has to go back up to Glasgow because she's at the University of Glasgow where her degree is being completed, her PhD. And then convocation, fingers crossed, is scheduled for sometime this summer. And it looks like Dave and we have started the planning process. We'll be going to England and Scotland for 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. Usually we go for about 2 weeks. We're thinking of flying. We do Air Canada because we have Aeroplan points. And with the move, we racked up a few so we can fly for free from Toronto to Heathrow. We'll probably stay the night just outside of Heathrow Airport, one of the hotels at the airport there, and then fly. Laura's going to meet us at Heathrow, and this will be the day before her convocation, and we'll fly up to Glasgow together. I have to research hotels and maybe Airbnb or something, and then we have Laura's convocation the next day, and then we'll probably fly back to London the following day because this particular trip we want to focus on England, specifically the London area and the area that she is, which is just south of Oxford. Apparently there's a nature preserve close by with the Chalk Horse, and so we're probably gonna do some hiking, and of course Oxford, gotta see Oxford, and possibly Blenheim Palace. We talked about Stonehenge. It's one of those big tourist attractions, so we're not 100% sold on doing Stonehenge on this particular trip. There are so many other ancient stone circles in the area that Even in the nature preserve, I cannot remember the name of it, where she lives, just borders on it. There's stone circles in there. And so, yeah, we might instead plan a hike that involves visiting a stone circle, seeing some of the chalk engravings in the hillsides that are in that area. Definitely see Oxford. Definitely going to do London. We have our to-do list. There is the orangery, I've heard. We love to do, when we did Scotland 2 years ago, we loved, that was our little thing with Laura, is for lunch or even mid-afternoon, do a full-on Royal English tea. And that would involve either Prosecco or gin. Laura and my husband Dave love gin. And so there's a orangery, I guess, which is affiliated with the Kensington Palace, does afternoon tea. They're closed for the season, apparently, but they reopen sometime in March. So we're hoping when we're there, I plan everything to the finest detail. Have a royal tea at Kensington Palace at the Orangery, which I think was a structure that was built for Queen Anne. Again, I have started the planning process, and we're hoping to book our flights this weekend with Aeroplan. And if anything changes, luckily, because we're Aeroplan members, we can just cancel our flights and we have a year to rebook. And yeah, I do not foresee a problem with Laura in defending her thesis. When she did her master's, it was a breeze for her. Now PhD is a little different, but she's also has a few peer-reviewed journal. She's in space sciences, by the way. Papers published anyways, and she's been the lead author in the latest one, so I don't see a problem, but you never know. Anyways, so there's that. Amanda, our second daughter, had her birthday in January, and she couldn't celebrate with us because she was in Toronto and we're down here, and it's not that easy. She turned 26. It's hard to believe my baby girl is 26. So she's coming down Friday on the train from Toronto. It's reading week coming up, so it's family day weekend this coming weekend, so that's why I'm recording now, is like do it now. And our son Daniel and his girlfriend Kate are also coming down from Kingston. Kate has to be in Toronto for work for a few days at the end of this week, so they're gonna come down. We're gonna celebrate Amanda's birthday. I just made dinner reservations at a new to us restaurant, as this is a new area for us. And then unfortunately Daniel and Kate have to go back to Kingston, even though it's reading week for him as well. He's doing his master's, so his schedule is quite full with research, TAing, marking papers, my guess, that type of thing. So they're going back probably family day Monday or first thing Tuesday morning. We'll see. And then the big thing that's been taking up a lot of time in my world has been my craft space in the basement. I'll try and submit some pieces. You could say Dave and I, for the month of January, could be considered Ikea's Customers of the Month Club, like the ultimate customer of the month for the month of January. We did some research and we felt it's the basement, it's the craft space, it's also our reading area, library area, that Ikea would be the way to go. They're inexpensive, does the job, looks smart, and we spent the last couple of weekends building, wiping down, and then I've been doing the fun part of going through all my stuff. I have done multiple crafts throughout my lifetime, paper crafting, scrapbooking specifically, and some rubber stamping, card making was years ago. I got into scrapbooking when Amanda, who just turned 26, was a baby. My mom invited me, she was living in the Kitchener-Waterloo area at the time, and we were in Waterloo, to a night out for creative memories. And then I became a creative memories consultant for a while. So I accumulated a few of that, and then dabbled with all the other, like if you're into paper crafting, you know, Basil, We Are Memory Keepers, Basic Grit, like you name it, I got into it. I even sold Stampin' Up for about 5 or 6 years, thoroughly enjoyed it. So there's a lot to unpack there. I purged a fair bit of paper and cardstock. I still got a lot, and so there was all that. And I had lost interest in paper crafting the last few years, but I found when I started to, it was a mad rush, unfortunately, but I had to pack up my craft studio in the old house in the Kitchener-Waterloo region to prepare it to get on the market and put the stuff in storage. And I remember finding it very difficult, even though I hadn't paper crafted in a long time. As I was packing up the room and sorting and purging and organizing what goes, what stays, I could not get rid of a lot of stuff. And I said to my husband, I said, it feels like as I'm packing this room up, pieces of me are being packed up. And I can't quite let go of this aspect of myself. I made numerous albums. Our Disney trip alone was 3 albums. And I knew the craft space I had in the old house wasn't working. And I knew I wanted to keep this aspect of my crafting sphere back into my life. I also dabbled with art journaling, so there's acrylic paints, art journals, that kind of stuff. I've dabbled with knitting because my mom was a master knitter, and so there's that. So what I'm loving about this space is it's bigger than what I had. We purposely picked up certain pieces of furniture that I knew in my head what I was going to do with what. A calyx unit with paper inserts for my cardstock and paper. And then there's my cross stitch, the fabric, threads, pegboards, my Cricut. I have a Cricut Air. I don't have the highest Cricut. I've got kind of like, I think it's the second highest, and I have the Cricut t-shirt press, iron press for cloth, and I made coasters. So I've dabbled in a little bit of everything. So I'm really enjoying going through what I have and finding lost treasures. I'm not done yet. I would say I'm about 75 to 80% done unpacking all the boxes. All the boxes. We've got all our books, most of our books on bookshelves, our little reading library. There's still bins and boxes of photos and family history, memorabilia, etc. So right now, we'll probably be going back to Ikea at some point, probably in March, I don't know, and get some more cabinetry for the photos and the family history memorabilia. Being a scrapbooker, I love photos. Right now, most of my recent photos, the last number of years, is on digital, and it makes me nervous. What if something happens? But yeah, I was that girl that sat there with Creative Memories negatives sleeves and organizing. I've got boxes of negatives, not just my negatives, but my parents' negatives. I inherited all my mom's photos from her side, like what she had brought over from Canada, from her side of the family, and some photos from my dad's side of the family, the Sloterdijks and my dad was a Sloterdijk, my mom was a Dalma. And so yeah, that's the next project, but warm weather's starting to come. Dave marked his territory, we called it. He put stakes in the ground where he's gonna put his sky shed. My husband does astrophotography. He's on Instagram, Pale Brown Shed. I'll see if I can link it. I don't know how to link Instagram on YouTube, but anyways. He hasn't done astrophotography since August. When we had the house on the market, the sky shed was off limits because there was quite a bit of equipment and we didn't want people touching it. But we had pictures so they could see, but we kept the sky shed locked. And then unfortunately he found what I meant when he had to pack up his sky shed and all of his equipment and his lenses and filters. And he said, yeah, there's pieces of me in this, like I'm packing up pieces of me. So it's quite interesting as crafters and any kind of hobby, there's pieces of you in it. And I think that's what makes cross-stitching so appealing to me, because there's this magic of needle thread and creating an image just with needle thread and some fabric, and the history of cross-stitch and embroidery, etc. really gets me interested. Anyways, oh, and the cats, Athena and Artemis, had their very first visit to the new vet here in Sarnia, and Athena peed herself. Oh, she has not done that in ages, which surprised us, but we think she probably had to use the litter. And we didn't, you know, because it was like, it took us 10 minutes to catch Artemis. Artemis is a slippery little girl. She was born in a woodpile. Her mother taught her very well. And Artemis, as soon as there is the slightest, teeniest, tiniest change in the energy of the environment around her, she is on high alert. And it doesn't help we shut our bedroom door because we didn't want her to go in there and go under the bed because we knew we'd never get her, as we ate breakfast, which caused her to panic, and she kept looking at the front door. Yeah, we shut the furnace room where their litters is, brought one litter out. We shut the bedroom doors in the basement so she couldn't run and hide under beds. And she knew, even though we tried to remain calm, had breakfast, it took us about 10 minutes to catch her and get her into her carrier, which by then got Athena agitated because Athena's the mother cat and Athena's, you know, what's going on? And then we took him to a strange new vet, and Dave took Athena out of her carrier and he got covered in cat pee. So after the vet, we did a detour. He meanwhile texted his sister, "Did you know a good dry cleaner?" Because it was one of his good jackets. So at least he got peed on this time and not me, and it was only dribbles, not an entire cat bladder covering your torso and your legs. Anyways, back to what we're really here for is stitching. I've been really focused, as I said, on the craft room. I'll try and insert some photos. Would anybody be interested in seeing a full tour of my finished craft room when it's actually done? We're getting there in the home stretch. We've got kids coming home this weekend, so not too much getting done this weekend. And I really need to get back to work at some point, but I'm just enjoying the winter off and feathering my nest, to be honest, to get back to work. But I got accreditation courses to keep my status that I have to get through and submit to my associations. But anyways, stitching. Focused on the craft room. There's been some stitching. I have 3 of 24 starts for 2024 started, and I've got quite a bit of haul. So much for no spend January. And it just kind of snowballed. And then, yeah, when we were in Ikea the other day, because you're standing in the line, we had like 3 carts of stuff. Yeah, we were that. I'll show you a picture of the Atlas with stuff top to bottom. It was like a heavy load. Thank goodness it was the Atlas, which has a truck suspension and chassis and a really powerful engine. So we had to drive 2 hours to get home with all that stuff and then unload it at night. But anyways, and when we were at Ikea, I happened to just, as we're standing in line, saw that Everto had their, with Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery, their holiday countdown 2024 pre-orders had opened that day. And I went, oh, I don't know, right? Because I'm still not finished the 2023 stitch along for the holidays with Modern Folk Embroidery and Everto and Roxy Floss Co. Oh no. So, but then they said Nordic. It's like, I love a lot of Nordic themed pieces. I love Nordic interiors, that kind of thing. So yeah, I got home. I was on data, so I waited, and then I got home and placed my pre-order. I said, that's it. And then now it's Nashville. Nashville Marketplace is coming up, and there are some beautiful pieces. I am restraining myself. I am not doing any, can you pick this up for me when you're in Nashville for some of the vendors. The Blue Flower Pollinators one is really calling to me, but Breeze Ria, after I unpacked and sorted out all my cross stitching stuff, kits, what needs to be kitted, what's kitted, patterns that haven't been kitted yet. Yeah, but then I start seeing some of the new stuff and it's like, yeah. So I'm watching the Nashville Marketplace releases, oohing and eyeing and going, ooh, ooh. But I am practicing restraint. Yay me. And so far so good. I'm getting ready for Stitch North, so there's that. And I know I'll probably buy some fabric and thread and stuff at Stitch North, and Pastime Pieces will probably be there again. And she usually has some really beautiful patterns and other cross stitchery bits and pieces that always call my name, and any other vendors. Rocky Mountain, is it Rocky Mountain Needle Binders? I love her needle minders. I found all my needle minders too. So yeah, I did watch some FlossTube, Country Stitchers, Savory Sewing, Elizabeth Savory. I watched hers, of course, Brenda and the Cereal Starter. And then of course I had to watch Lindy Stitch's Nashville shopping list, videos 1 through 3. I'm not sure if she's gonna have another one coming out. I'm all for it. I love watching it because she breaks down the different pieces that she's going to be carrying in her shop, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. Again, I'm just kind of, we'll see. Again, I've spent a fair bit between Ikea and Everto and Traditional Stitchers and 1, 2, 3 Stitch. I'm going to show you the haul in a bit. Yeah. Anyways, so let's get to, as I said, with getting my craft room set up, I found a Rubbermaid bin of cross-stitch stuff that, as I said in previous videos, I was paper crafting, card making, dabbling in other crafts, but cross-stitch just kept calling me back. And I would go to the Creative Needlework and Festival in Toronto twice a year, years and years ago, and things. And then I lived 10 minutes from Mary Maxim, who had a huge Dimensions at that time collection that they were selling, etc. And I had a Rubbermaid bin that I had tucked away in the furnace room of my old house that I was stashing things, bits and pieces that I collected. And it was funny, when I started this YouTube channel a few videos back, I know for a lot of floss tubers, they like to do giveaways. I don't have anything to give away. And I hit that Rubbermaid bin yesterday, and I had one of the big 8-foot tables laid out, and I've got a ton of cross-stitching magazines, Cross Stitcher, World of Cross Stitching, Cross Stitch Gold, all kinds of patterns. I found some kits that I had bought, and I want to share some of the treasures that popped out to me that just kind of went, oh, I had no recollection that I had this. And it's like, oh, but I love it. And so I have a few pieces here, not too many, because you gotta see my table. And I might have some giveaways down the road. I have to wrap around my brain around what I have and what I picked up, because I loved it at that time over 10, 15 years ago, but it doesn't really speak to me now that I have been cross-stitching consistently for the last 4 to 5 years. Makes sense. So anyways, if you ever went to the Creative Needlework Festival and Show that was in Toronto twice a year, they had a fall show and a spring show. The spring show was, I believe, was usually in Brampton or Mississauga at a convention center, and then the fall show was in downtown Toronto, the Toronto Convention Center. We usually went to the spring show. We went once to the one at the downtown convention center and stayed at the hotel there. Anyways, and the focus of that was always sewing and needlework, sewing as a whole, but they had paper crafting, that's why we went. And then all these other things, offshoots, and of course, cross-stitching. And we were the ones that liked to hit every single booth that we could for make and takes. I found my felted needle book, which is downstairs. I'll have to show you next time. And then sometimes there would be freebies, that certain stores would have little freebies that they would hand out to attendees of the festival. So this is something I found from Toronto, a sampler, Toronto's premier cross-stitch store. I don't even think it's still around. It was on Brown's Line in Toronto, off the 427. I will not show you. This is the actual pattern from Custom House of Needle Arts, and it's a Scottish thistle, and it's on 32 count cream Belfast. So it's just a little, it's a small, and then the threads, I don't even know if this company still is around. Using 1 strand of gum nut yarns, pearl silk buds. And so they had a sample, or I guess it was a sampler that was in their show, and this was just one of the motifs of the sampler. And at the time, I lived in Ayr, which is, if you're from Scotland, you know Ayr. Well, there's Ayr, Ontario, and now this area where I live, again, is a very Scottish area. A lot of Scottish names, so it's kind of ironic. And our daughter went to the University of Glasgow and lived in Scotland for since 2020, and then she moved last November, December to England. Anyways, so this is the thread. It's very pretty. It's a silk, and I've never worked with silks, and I figure it's a good small. I have silks that are in, I have a couple patterns with silks that are in my 24 for 2024 starts. 24 starts for 2024 in there, so I thought this little small might be a good experiment. But yeah, I found that. I went, oh. And then turns out I did do some cross stitching. This was a Dimensions Kit tree skirt. And I do remember I had, years ago, I had strep throat. So I had it bad, and I was knocked off my feet for a couple weeks, and I did some stitching. It's a tree skirt, and if you see it, you know what I mean. This is as far as I got. It's huge. We had a dog, and I think she peed on it. There's a little staining. It's over, yeah. So it's one of those, I've lost interest in doing it. I'm looking at it. It was just something I picked up Mary Maxim. I don't know. Would somebody be interested if I gave it to you? Like, it started, the whole kit. I don't have the cover photo, but if you look at it, it's a very common Dimensions tree skirt that was around. It's on Ada with a lot of half stitches and full cross stitches and back stitches. I really don't have interest in finishing it. I have all the threads. I have the pattern. I don't have the cover photo. I have the fabric. The fabric stained, which I think is puppy pee. I don't know. Or should I just throw it? Or should I just throw it out because it's got puppy pee on the pad. I don't know. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. And I have all the needles and thread there. I'm definitely going to take the needles. And then I found this. This was, it's kind of ironic because it's the Year of the Dragon this year. With Happy Chinese New Year, by the way, for those who are of Asian descent. I remember picking this up at the Creative Needlework Festival with grand plans. I had a little boy at the time who was into dragons. And I found it in my Rubbermaid bin. It has a ton of DMC, a ton. It's 230 wide and 332 stitches high. It's called Waiting for the Mist to Clear. And the stitching is, it's full coverage, but it's not full coverage. So they used, obviously, a dyed fabric. Waiting for the Mist to Clear from the painting by Ian Brooks. Created for cross stitch under license by Carrie Blackwell. and distributed by Fantasy Crafts Distributing out of, I think it's Wisconsin. It's beautiful. It's got a bajillion color stitches, changes. I think it's like 10 pages. So basically you're stitching this and then the dragon's nose and then this is the fabric. I am not willing to get rid of this. I found this and I still, to my memory, is still seeing the model that was on the wall at their booth. It was the Enchanted Needle, who was at the time Steeles Ave in Woodbridge, Ontario. I doubt they're still around because again, this was like a really long time ago. And yeah. Oh, there's something under here. Auckland, New Zealand. Character Creations was the company that did this, and it was distributed by Fantasy Crafts Distribution in the States. But the company was out of Auckland, Character Creations, and they used artwork by Ian Brooks. There we go. I love it. But yeah, there's like, here. This is all the DMC colors. And see, now that I'm back into cross stitching, I remember at the time falling in love with that imagery, but it's a lot of full coverage. Maybe it's a good way to whet my appetite for full coverage. I look at Heaven and Earth Designs and I'm like, no, no, you go have at it, girlfriend, but no. And then this is what's really fun. I'm Dutch, right? Down. My mom's a Down, my dad's a Sloterdijk. And I remember one of the last times my mom went to the Netherlands to visit family. She tried to go every 2 years or so for the last number of years. And then it got to a point with her health and her well-being and her siblings, because she's the youngest of 5. So she had, her older siblings were quite a bit older than her. It was just not feasible. But I think this was the last time or the second last time, because I was in collecting cross-stitch patterns because I knew I wanted to get back into cross-stitch so bad. I had her pick up something. So I had shown in my first I think it was my first video, a bell pull that my mom and my aunt, which was my mom's sister-in-law, who also immigrated to Canada with my uncle, had stitched, and my aunt finished it. And so my mom got me another one. It is from Paco. It's made in Holland. And it is the costumes of various different provinces. So if you're from the Netherlands, you know, and of course there's a glare, and it's completely sealed. So it's a bell pull. I even got the hardware. So my mom went to a craft store somewhere, probably in the Friesland, because that's where all her family is, and got me this pattern for a bell pull. There's the fabrics. Again, it's still in its plastic. It looks like a 28 or 30 count linen even weave. It just recommends using, which I do have, that Paco thread organizer. And this is the Paco company made the, I just realized that, the cross stitch. And then I found something really cool. It's in a plastic bag, old plastic bag from No Frills. I don't know how old these magazines are. I don't see a date. They're from the Netherlands, and they are needlework magazines. I think because my mom's sister, oldest sister, was into cross stitch, so she might have gotten this from my aunt. I don't see a date. I got 3 of these. It looks almost 80-esque, 1980s-esque. It's all in Dutch, which is fine because I can muddle my way through Dutch. I am not very good at speaking fluently Dutch. Like, I got key phrases and I can say things. But reading, I can muddle my way through and everything. And I can translate. And so it's just these different patterns in this magazine. There's 3 of them. And then the patterns, which I can't show you, is out of Utrecht. They have these pullouts, these paper pullouts, I'm not going to show you, that have the actual patterns and what you need to make it. So you've got all these images of these different patterns. Here's some beautiful white thread on blue for tablecloths. It looks 80s, and I was like, I forgot I had these completely. Yeah. Linens. What else is in here? Ooh, that's pretty. Napkins. And then there's another one. It's got some puppies. There's some little boy. And maybe there's a date on the inside, because there's no date on the outside. It just says, because it was before the European Union, so it's in Gilda, the Dutch dollar at the time. And there's no date that I can see, because usually they'll say, like, you know, if it's a quarterly or a monthly, a date, but I don't see that anywhere. And then there's this one, which has this beautiful tapestry. Yeah. Well, that's a cute little country scene. So definitely this is not going to be a get rid of just yet. I have to thoroughly go through these magazines and see. It looks like a lot of Ada. This looks like a rough linen. It's beautiful tablecloth. It almost looks like a rough linen, flax almost. Whoop. Keep the patterns with the patterns. Oh. And some of these look Ada. So yeah, I have to go through these. There's some beautiful pieces. Petty point. That's what those flowers are. Petty point. Oh, come on, focus. There you go. So, oh, mushroom. I love mushroom. Like some of the field note mushrooms. Like, look at that. This is something I'm definitely going to want to stitch. So I got 3 of these that my mom had given me, and I forgot completely about them. So those are just some of the treasures I found when unpacking this little, I forgot I had, Rubbermaid bin of cross stitch stuff I was collecting when I wanted to get back into it, but just didn't have the time and mental bandwidth to do it at that time. I think I was selling Stampin' Up, which kind of, and then 3 very, 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 very busy kids. Okay, so now let's do my 3 of my 24 starts of 2024. I'm hoping to do 2 a month. So January I did 2, and then I started 1 a couple of nights ago for my February start. So my very first one is My Precious Jewel from 1897 Schoolhouse Sampler, and Alice Townsend's work from May 5th, 1841. It is so cute. The called for threads, and I'm using 32 count Ancient from Picture This Plus, and this was on my floor stand because I have, I think it's half a yard. It's way too big for what I have, but I didn't know where half my stuff is, my tables. So now that I have it set up, I took it off my floor stand. This is my progress. This, if you follow me on Instagram, this tree, I curse this tree. Yeah, I had to do it 3 times because it's kind of funky, but it's done. I took it off the floor frame, my Hearthside Crafts Hearthside Crafts floor frame, which I absolutely love. Anyways, because it was such a big piece, but the actual pattern, my light keeps changing here, I noticed. I think because of, I got overhead lights on because it's snowing again, finally. I did a little stick though. Anyways, the actual piece itself is not as big as the fabric I picked for it. but I couldn't cut it down to size. But now I have my table set up. I got my cutting mat set up. I found my rotary cutter. I found my straight edge ruler. I'm not a quilter, but I have a few pieces. Anyways, so I will hopefully in the next week or so, because this is getting set aside for now, cut this down to the proper size of fabric that I actually need and not the full, because look at this, it's huge. And I really don't need that much for this particular pattern, just because it's, yeah. Because if you look, the tree is almost, like there's the halfway, right? So yeah, time to trim her down. And I'm using for the called for threads. So that is going over there. And then my next start is from Maximum Cross Stitch. I started this towards the end of January. September's Revenge. My last video I said I had bought this at Stitch North with all the grand plans to at least start the stitch along in September of September's Revenge. But then we moved. We sold a house and we moved and bought a house. We were buying and selling real estate. I sound so wheeling and dealing. So anyways, I started this. Hopefully the camera focuses. It's on Dirty Porcelain, 32 count, using the called for Roxy Floss Co colors. And this is how far I have gotten so far. And this piece, I have not had to frog too much. I think only had a couple pieces I had to frog. And I think it had to do with this. I got blindly, because if you look at the windows, right, you've got the white things, but then this one is ever so slightly. I got lazy and I was like, oops. And I had to take 3 stitches out. And I love that Alan has made the imagery in the pattern big, because when you get to a certain age. Okay, so then the next piece, this is my first time doing a floss conversion. Carrie from Roxy Floss Co did quite a bit for me at Jacobpalooza, and then it got put away, and then I brought it out and finished doing the floss conversion based on the actual, because this is from Jacob, sorry. Modern Folk Embroidery, In the Garden of Holland, a Dutch sampler. But it's charted in DMC. And so I was at Jacobpalooza. Can we do a Roxy Floss Co floss conversion? So Carrie was extremely helpful. And and then I finished it. I sat down with my DMC booklet. I just started this 2 nights ago, but last night I didn't have time to work on it. But I've started center. I don't know if this is gonna show. It's on 32 count Speculoos from Roxy Floss Co and Everto. And I ended up buying a big piece and I cut it down. So this is actually a proper piece. It's in my Q-snap. And then the conversion so far, and I'm only like 20 stitches in and I'm already doubting some of my choices, so I might make a change or two. I don't know at this point, but so far these are the flosses that I am using from Roxy Floss Co. Bellini, Blush, Crush, Caramel, Craisins. Oh, there's something there. Craisins. Come on, focus. There we go. Camera. Creme brulee. Oh, there we go. Creme brulee. Fuji. I need a proper camera. This is my phone. Great Lakes, and the phone gets confused. Just Navy. I love these deep blues. Moscato. Beautiful peachy cream. Off the Record, which is just a nice little off-white. That's Off the Record. Peekaboo, this is one of the ones I am questioning myself. I might substitute it with Huron Times. This is what I had in my stash. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. And I have some other threads in my little pouch that I might substitute some of the, like, again, these are the ones I have currently in my conversion, Pinery. But as I work on the piece, it could change. Smells like money. Come on. Nice green. It doesn't smell like money. It smells like floss thread. I spelled it. Just because that's what I do. I'm weird. Statuesque. Oh, there we go. And beautiful gold. Sweetheart. Purple pink. And then Virulande for the dark brown. So, again, not much of a start for in the Garden of Holland, but it's a start. Hopefully tonight I can work on some. Anyways, put that down. What's in here? That is, oh, that belongs to Ellen. There we go. So those are the 3 starts that I've managed to squeeze in between shopping and building IKEA furniture and becoming IKEA's best customer. Now let's get to haul. So this is no particular order. I just kind of stacked them because I got a few things and I'm really, yeah. I know everybody's talking about no spend January. Rhea blew that one out of the water. Why not? I'm spending all this, well, IKEA's not that bad. And we also got from Great Designs a bookshelf for Laura, but we put it in the kitchen for now to house my cookbooks. I'll probably send a picture. This is a nutritionist. I got a few cookbooks and I found my recipe development books and my program organization planning notebook. So yeah, anyways. This is from Everto via 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers. It is they started in Stitch North 2023. And I think there's one more coming out. So I got the latest installment, The Heart is in Flames. And I got just the booster pack. I'm keeping, I started the first one, but not the others. But I really want to do this. And I did not get the fabric because they didn't have any in stock and they still don't. Which is good because if I'm going to buy something, it'd be like, well, the pattern, the fabric can't travel by itself, and then Lord knows what else I'll get. So, if you watch Everto's Friday Off the Grid videos, workshop videos with Carrie and Caroline, you know, Caroline is turning 50, and she has these starts, and I knew the one video they did when they said, oh, Hannah, can you do this floss conversion for this particular pattern? And I saw the pattern and I was like, oh, I have seen that pattern in various stages of work through Instagram and FlossTube that other stitchers were working on. I was like, oh, but that's such a big piece. I don't know. Yeah, Caroline and Carrie enablers. So I had to go to 123 Stitch and actually get the pattern of a peacock, a unicorn, and a badger. I am not doing the full coverage. Yeah, let me take it out of its sleeve. I cracked it open so I could see it. So there's the book. Oh my God, the detail. I love the history of embroidery, needlework, cross stitch. And this is just something that's just based on some old medieval tapestry. Early 18th century canvas work picture. Not quite medieval. So anyways, I got this is for Ellen's owl pattern that I did not get, but they designed the project bag and floss keeper, etc. around that, but I didn't get the pattern, but I had to get the pattern, the bag, project bag, that, and then this came with it as well, little thread. So I am doing I bought the converted threads. You probably have seen them a bajillion times, right? Gorgeous. And then Carrie did Pub Crawl. And here, let me open it up. It is 36 count because they ran out of 32. I'm usually a 32 girl, but as I said in previous videos, this year Rhea is going to step outside her comfort zone of 32, and this is 36, but oh my word. Carrie and Carolyn and Hannah, you guys, what have you done? Gorgeous. Oh, come on, camera, focus. Yeah, I think I need a proper camera. But oh, I love it. 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 So this was not originally planned to be part of my 24 starts for 2024. So I'm going to have my documented 24 starts for 2024. This is what I planned. And then there just might be a few others. Anyways, oh yeah, I had to finish kitting up. So the next bit of haul is projects that I had to finish kitting up. And I had received a fairly good sized gift certificate from my mother-in-law for 1-2-3 Stitch for Christmas. So I used that up and then some, but I wanted to finish kitting up a number of projects, and then there might have been something that fell into the cart that was brand new, but yeah. Anyways, one of the projects I was flip-flopping between two kinds of linens, so I ended up picking one, and the second one is just going to go into my linen stash. It's new to me. It's 30 count Victoria sponge cake linen. It's very it's rigid. It's not what I'm used to with linen, but I'm sure as you work with it, it'll change. But it's a very nice neutral, so I'll just go into my stash because it's a nice neutral. All right, what's this one? Okay, so this is, I already had the MPI silks and the pattern for a year at Hawk Run Hollow. I've been wanting to start, and this is one of my starts for 2024. Some of this is my starts for 2024. And this is one of them. And I ended up picking up 32 count sand Belfast linen to go. I've already baggied up my MPI silks. Sorry, they're in bags. But it's the call for MPI silks. Like I said, I am going to be stitching with silk for the first time on some new patterns this year. So hence that little freebie that I got years ago might be a good one for me to wet my whistle, so to speak, for using silks. What's this one? Oh, yeah. This is one of those new, but not new to me. Oh, I gotta have it stretch outside my comfort zone. So this was from Everto, and this was something they did with Jeanette Douglas, Margaret Meadows inspired spools. You've probably seen them on the website. Pick that up, and then it's still in the thread. It's still in the package. So yeah, I just kind of put it in a again. Come on, perfect project bag. And then it will be on 36 count Panettone. And then I got the spool because they sold it in kits with the spool. So this is very new to me, doing anything like this. I am not much of a sewer, etc. I usually just do like samplers and stick it in a frame, or it's just languishes in a closet or a drawer. So I don't know. I don't have my glasses on, but anyways, that fell into my cart and made its way home. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, so this one, as I said before in one of my videos, I have every single pattern from Blackbirds Designs Loose Feathers Abecedarian series. I'm working on one of the pieces. It's somewhere. He's got put away properly this time. It's in my craft room downstairs in his home. So I'm working on one, but I thought, let me get some threads, because the plan was to use the fabric that is being currently stitched on for the other one I have, which I cannot remember what it is. It's in another video. So I just needed to get the threads, and I wanted to try the call for threads. The one that I'm currently working on, because it was me getting back into cross stitch 7 years ago. I can't remember, it's all blur. It was kitted in DMC. So this one I am kitting in the called for Gentle Art threads. And I'm okay if one's DMC and one's and the rest are Gentle Art, or a mix of Gentle Art and DMC. I'm okay with that. But so this is number 1, Wild Berries. So I got the threads for that. It's got its own project bag, but the fabric, so this won't get started this year. But the fabric is with the other project that I'm hoping to get finished this. It's on my hope to finish in 2024 list. Okay. Lost in Stitches, Lisa. She started her own Etsy shop, and I fell in love with some of the pieces, so I decided to purchase the Winter Snow minis. I'm sensing a theme here. I've never done a mini. Now I've got like a bunch of minis. I usually do really big, oh my goodness, what have I done projects, but I got the Winter Snow minis off of her website. I know she's been dealing with a lot with her cancer treatments. She's been awfully quiet since just before Christmas, so hopefully she's doing okay. I have not seen her on Instagram or FlossTube since just before Christmas, but I just saw what she did with these and I had to get it, so. And of course it's not kitted up, I just got the PDF. One thing at a time. So this is from Traditional Stitches, Hands Across the Sea for the Year sampler that they're working on, which is Ann Johnson 1832, We Have Much to Undergo. And it's an exclusive reproduction for Traditional. They do this every year and I tend to get it. I start and I never finish these Hands Across the Sea. Avoir silk is what, how does I say Avoir silk? I'm terrible. One year I got the silks. I haven't started that sampler yet. I think a silk scared me. And I think I need to wet my whistle, so to speak, with some of these other projects. And then before I work on something. But this particular one is kitted in DMC. And it came with a thread bed based on the pattern, which I love. Crafty Corey Stitches made this. And then called for DMC. Stunning. On 32, because I'm a 32 count girl. 32 count Belfast linen, dyed by Tabby Cat Linens. It's called Tickety Boo, specifically for this project. So, again, like I said, I don't know when I'm going to start this. Goes there. And then, for some reason, this is the year small. So this is something I showed in my previous video, which I got for Christmas from my Danielle, Kate, and Amanda. And I had the threads and the pattern, but I didn't have the linen. So it's the B sampler from Lilo Studio. So then I ended up getting, this is really outside my comfort zone, 40 count Tycho, T-Y-C-H-O Newcastle linen. And then these are the threads that came with it. So when the kids ordered this off of 1-2-3 Stitch for me, they didn't realize at the time that it didn't come with linen. So I used my mother-in-law's gift certificate to get some linen. And this is on my 24 starts for 2024 list. So this is definitely going to get started at some point. Oh yes, and speaking of Lindy Stitches, she has that Endangered Species Club. So I decided because the only club I'm a part of is the Floss of the Month club from Roxy Floss Co. And somebody's messaging me. Shh. Yeah, let me get rid of that. Sorry. So I decided to try different, and so I decided to sign up for Lindy Stitch's Endangered Species Club. So then the first one came, and it's the Amur leopard. And I know I have white linen, so, and Ada, and then some of the specialty threads that went with it. And then the rest is DMC. That is not fully kitted, but it is right there. Oh, since I'm here, speaking of Floss of the Month Club, this is February's Roxy Floss Co. Everto Floss of the Month. I assume I can share this. It's no secret. A lot of people have had this for a while. So these are the brights, which is Bashful, Be Mine. Ooh, I like that. Flirty. I might use that in the garden. English Violet and Dream Come Blue. And then the neutrals, Kahlua, like the liqueur, I assume. Frangelico. Geranium. There are geraniums. Hopefully the camera's picked. I'm sorry if this is blurry. Berries and Cream. And French Vanilla was the neutrals for the month of February. And by the time, I always find, because I film on my phone and then it has to go into the cloud onto my desktop, and I find it takes forever. And I don't know if it's because my laptop is older. I don't know. So I filmed today and I probably can't get it up onto YouTube till tomorrow. And it's Valentine's Day and I'll be doing some meal prep for Valentine's Day. So this is from 123 Stitch, and it fell into my cart. It was not a planned purchase. It was, but I love it, purchase. And it's part of a series, Blackbird Designs in their series. Magical Mystery Tour series, which is based on the Beatles. And I've seen the patterns throughout, and my husband is a huge Beatles fan. Huge. We have some of the documentaries on DVD. Thanks to streaming, he has all the albums. We have specialty books. We went a couple times years ago, like 20 years ago, or maybe 15, I don't remember. There was a really good Beatles tribute band that played in Toronto once a year. So we went a couple times to that. So he doesn't know he knows I have this, but he doesn't know why I have it. But I'd like to get the rest at some point. It's on my wish list. So I got Strawberries Fields Forever just because it's beautiful. I love the reds. I love red. Anyways, so this is the second in the Magical Mystery Tour. I got the called for threads. That's what I love about a lot of these online stores. Click. Oh, you've got all the threads. Here we go. Just click. Makes it so easy. And it's going to be on 32 count Weeks Dye Works Gray, which is a beautiful. I'm glad they finally changed the name to gray instead of what it used to be called. Yeah, and I'm glad they changed it. I know Michelle from Bendy Stitches was calling for years for them to change it to just gray. It should not have been called what it was. And talking to my husband, he agrees. And with his family history, he has very strong Southern roots from Tennessee in his family. And just because his ancestors owned slaves doesn't mean that we can just kind of pass it under the rug. We told our kids, hey, your ancestors owned slaves. They fought on the Confederate side, which because they owned slaves does not necessarily mean they were on the right side of history. And it's something you need to learn and know. so that you don't make the same mistakes. It's just part of the learning process. And I know it's coming to grips with that history and the good, the bad, and the ugly of that stage of history. And my husband's family is very philosophical about it, that yes, our ancestors were not the best people. And so seeing that they changed it to just gray, I'm very happy. Let's just put it that way. And that doesn't not mean that we are less people because our ancestors made mistakes and did things that put them on the wrong side of history. But those mistakes, as future generations, we can learn from and not repeat those mistakes. And so that's the one thing we drive home on our kids. Yes, you have ancestors that fought in the Confederate side during the war. They made mistakes. On both sides, there were mistakes. And yes, they owned slaves. That was a huge mistake. And we can learn and do better. Because I think it's Maya Angelou. When you know better, you do better. So anyways, this is not fully kitted. I digress. But I saw this. I have to get the fabric for this yet. But I thought it was so cute. It's called Christmas Delivery from Cottage Garden Threads. I'm really becoming a fan. I am becoming a huge fan of Cottage Garden Threads. And this is just the called for DMC. Again, it's in a plastic bag. I don't have the fabric for this, but I think I have some Roxy Floss Co fabric that I could use for this in my stash. And I will get to that when I get to that. This might be something that might not happen for a while. What's this? Okay, so Jingle Ball happened. And I ended up buying Beth Twist's Hibernation Day PDF. Because I'm from Canada, I couldn't purchase any actual paper copies through the Jingle Ball because of different issues that some of the vendors had. So, but I decided to kit it. So I got the called for threads, which again is Gentle Arts. And I think this was, can't remember. Oh no, this wasn't it. I picked this one out, yes, specifically. 28 count vintage country mocha casual linen. I just have to cut it because it's long and narrow, so I still have to cut it. But I got, yeah, anyways. Yeah. Well, here it is. Come on, camera. Maybe if I take my face out of it. But then I'm tempted to peek around the corner and think, is it focused? So I finished kitting that up. Will I start this? I don't know. I think I need a good snow day, which we're not getting this year, which totally sucks, at least in this part. All right, so this, I bought, it's another Blackbird, and it's a pattern that I've chosen out of the Home for the Holidays book. I've had this for a couple of years. I think I got it at 1, 2, 3. No, I got it from Pastime Pieces. I got it from Pastime Pieces in 2022. Stitched North. And I mean, come on. There's so many beautiful things that I want to stitch. There's two that really stick out to me. I only kitted one. The other one I have not kitted yet, which will probably have to wait. No, there we go. Is this one, the 'Tis the Season. I don't know if I'll keep, I'm gonna kit it and then I'll decide if I'll keep the French. My husband's mother's side is very French. So I don't know. But the one I did kit, of course I lost my spot, which I have seen so many people do, and I oohed and I was like, oh yes. So I kitted this one, and it's the Christmas Garden Sampler. Again, the called for threads, and there aren't a lot of threads, but you need multiple skeins per thread. and I'm stuck on something here. So again, Classic Colorworks. I love the palette that they've chosen. 32 count vellum, because it's got some beautiful greens in this. I'm really loving the vellum, and there's greens here. So there's some very slight green modeling in the fabric. So I thought that would go extremely well. And then the last bit of haul was something I ordered a while ago from Everto, Roxy Floss Co. It's not open yet. I will open it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. I'll open it. I don't know if I'll get any stitching because it's Valentine's Day. We don't go anywhere, but I'll be making dinner and dessert. Anyways, it's not open yet. I did good. I did good. I didn't open it yet. Now that I have it in my hands, I'll be like, I want to open it. But, yeah. You can't see. No, my address isn't there. Anyways. Oh, there it is. But there's the box. It's got a cute little heart. Doesn't rattle. So I'm gonna open this tomorrow. I might film me opening it because it's not like their holiday countdown where you open up an envelope every day. It's like you get everything, and they've shown the pattern that Jacob designed, but I guess there's some secret patterns. And then Carrie, I think she dyed some trim, so I might film me opening this and then save it for another floss tube, see how much I get in, because I got 24 stars for 2024, and then all these other things are like falling into my lap that I want to start too. But focus, Rhea, focus. But tomorrow I'll probably open the box. I probably will not really do any stitching. I'm gonna do some shopping while this loads into the cloud. I'm gonna head into town. I'm gonna do some shopping for food for tomorrow. We're doing sea scallops with a roasted strawberry salsa. I love to cook. A nice arugula and avocado salad with walnuts and a nice herb vinaigrette. Dessert will be dairy-free, sugar-free, mint cheesecake with a pecan crust, chocolate mint cheesecake, and some, if I can find actually decent fresh raspberries. If not, I'll do frozen. But yeah, and then there's a potato pie my husband saw that he wants to make, but it looks like a lot of work, so I just might do roasted potatoes. We've been doing a lot of rice, so, because I thought, oh, scallops and a risotto, but we've been doing a lot of rice the last couple of days. So I might do a potato dish. I don't know. But definitely the scallops with the roasted strawberry salsa, salad with avocado and walnuts and vinaigrette, and I might put a fruit in, but we're doing fruit salsa, so I don't know. And the chocolate mint, and then we'll see. I just might do a roasted herb potato, or I might end up doing the potato pie. But I gotta make the crust. Anyways, that is it. My haul. A little bit of stitching. A lot of Ikea shopping, building, cleaning, organizing, sorting, purging, and I'm not done yet. Like I said, I have a huge stack of cross-stitch magazines. I don't know if I want to keep them all. I don't know. And then I found some patterns that I picked up that I'm really not interested in, and others that I am. So I might have some giveaways down the road. And then that Dimensions tree skirt, it's got dog urine on it. I don't think I can justify giving it to somebody unless they really want. And I do remember when the dog, she was a puppy. And that's around the time I was really sick and I had 2 weeks off, and she piddled. We had a few issues with her when she was a puppy. She was a golden doodle, high energy. Yeah, I remember that. So, I don't know. No, I can't justify giving that to someone. Saying, here, you want to finish this? Great, but there's dog urine on the fabric. Even though it's like on the edge, that's not part of the pattern, but I just might take the threads, they're DMC, and incorporate them into my stash and just get rid of the fabric and what I stitched. I don't know. I have to think about it, but there's others that I found that I definitely will do possible giveaways down the future roads videos at some point. Like again, I just sorted it in piles. I still have some thinking and looking to do and decide. So that's it for today. I should get going. I have to drive into town and get my scallops and my strawberries. And happy stitching, everyone. May you have a day that's full of blessings and happiness, and create some magic with some needle thread and fabric. It's just amazing. Oh, there was something. And I lost it. I lost it. I don't remember. It was a saying I found. I was reading. I do a lot of reading. And it just really jumped out to me, and I have no idea what I did with it because everything's a mess. So have a blessed day. I am rambling now, which means it's time to turn off the video, Rhea, and get the rest of your day started. So happy stitching, my friends. Enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to create your magic with needle, thread, and fabric. Take care.